Hi, everyone. This is Jeanette Shaliga with VGA, and I am here with one of our conference speakers, Jen Baldwin. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Jen. And I wanted to start by just asking you if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work for Find My Past. I have for almost 8 years now, unbelievably. But I actually started in family history when I was just a kid. I started when I was around 10 years old. So this has always been a kind of a part of my life. Outside of the world of genealogy, though, I live in Colorado. My husband and I have a daughter. She is 12 years old. I can't believe that either. And our life just really kind of centers around her and her activities. She's a competitive baton twirler, so I volunteer for her team
Wow.
a lot. Yeah, I know. And we like just kind of all the things that everybody likes. I like to read, and we watch football in the fall, and I really love to make pasta. Actually, that's something that most people don't know about me. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Do
we
you
make
like
homemade
make the
pasta.
You really
Yeah.
do?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that is
And
awesome.
it's not as hard as most people think. So it
I
just but
don't know.
it's
I
become
tried it
kind of
once
this
and it was
family activity now.
mine was way too thick. Like I didn't roll
Oh,
it down enough. So
mhm.
do you just do like flat and cut it into strips, or do you make like ravioli and other, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you make all the
Yeah,
pasta.
all of the above. But we really, yeah, we love making raviolis and tortellinis and those kind of things and playing around with the fillings and stuff. So yeah,
Okay,
it's good
so
fun.
everyone, whenever we go to Colorado, we gotta
Yeah,
call up Jen
let me
and be
know.
like,
Like
come on over.
fresh homemade pasta. Yeah, I can't promise the sauce will be any good, but the pasta should be okay.
Oh, that's so funny. So you said you were into it since you were a little kid. Was there anything in particular that kind of drove that? That was that one thing that.
Oh yeah, of course, right? Everybody has that thing. So like most of us, I was assigned the family history, kind of oral history project in elementary school,
Mhm.
and I interviewed my grandparents. And I was the youngest of four kids, so it was kind of like the last grandparent left that hadn't been interviewed yet. So I was supposed to actually interview with my grandfather, but I didn't realize, of course, at the time at 10, that he was really struggling with early onset Parkinson's disease. And so grandma sat in with us, and she must have seen something in me. She saw a spark of some kind. And we only lived about a mile from their house. And so she would say to me in the summertime, "Hey, if you come down and help with the chores, I'll have some cookies ready for you." And while she was feeding me cookies, she was telling me oral histories from both
Oh
sides of the
wow.
family. So
Mhm.
she never showed me a pedigree chart or any of the letters or anything that she had written back and forth with family members. I remember her taking me to cemeteries and showing me some old photographs, but it was really that oral history that got me hooked. And then as I got older through high school and college, she and I started writing letters, and that's really where the paperwork started to kick off. But it was
Oh.
grandma and her cookies that sucked me in.
I love that story. That's
It's
so
so good.
great.
And today I inherited her cookie jar, which was the cookie jar that was always sitting on the counter when I went to
Mhm.
grandma's house. So yeah,
And now
one
you've
of my
got to
favorite
pay
things.
that forward. And, like with you said, you
Absolutely.
have a daughter and everything. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. She's been surrounded by this her whole life. And, I think her first visit to a cemetery, I think she was 3 months. So, and she can name, most of the descendants that I have photographs for and kind of go down the line. But as she gets older, it's starting to wear off some of its attraction. So
yeah, yeah.
she'll appreciate it more when she's older. It's okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So, the session you're doing for us for the conference is exploring global history in British newspapers and I'm assuming that's Find My Past British newspapers.
Yep. Absolutely.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to present on?
Oh gosh, this research is so fun. Like I can't even begin to describe how much joy I have just digging through these newspapers. Newspaper research is crucial to telling the stories of our ancestors, but we never stop to think about how world events were portrayed kind of on a global scale, right? So when I first started looking at the British collection, I thought, well, what about, I'm only going to find these famous things, right? Like the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, right? Was one
Mhm.
of the first things I searched for. And as I started to dig in more, I realized that actually they get down into the nitty gritty of those little teeny tiny communities from everywhere.
Wow.
And I'll show a couple examples of that, but the perspective, in the difference, how they reported on the American Civil War, for example, or the American Revolution is a big one, right? And um, and how right how Irish newspapers reported on British transportation to Australia, right? Because the Irish community saw it in a much different way than the English community did, right? So all of this different perspective and context that we can glean from and we can gain from really helps just add so much color and context. And actually, I found some things in these UK newspapers that I haven't been able to find in US newspapers.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you have me hooked already. I can't wait to watch the presentation. Because it's not something I know, expand your search out. It
Absolutely.
never occurred to me to actually go over to see.
Overseas,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we think about like the Associated Press today, the AP, they did the same thing, and they were, in a lot of cases you can tell they're just trying to fill the last couple of inches of that column on page
Hmm.
7 or whatever, right? But they're picking up some little bit of news from somewhere else around the world, and it's
Hmm.
it's really, really interesting research.
Yeah, particularly for that social context that you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Like you might not get like the tiny little marriages that happen. You never know, you
You
might, but
might, but you're more
yeah,
likely to get the social context,
right.
cultural type of story. Yeah.
Which is fascinating
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything. And how, oh my gosh, now you've got my gears going, if I want to talk about like a time and place that my ancestors were in, and then, like to have newspaper stories from different places about what was going on in their lives. So oh, I'm completely hooked. Okay, I'm ready.
Good deal.
thank, thank you, Jen, for sharing a little bit about yourself. And I'm sure that everyone's going to be looking forward to your presentation for our conference.
Thank you very much for having me.